Muscles power our every move. But for two incredible men, their muscular systems are beyond control. One has muscles that flex when they shouldn't.
You tell your body to do something, but it does something else.
The other has seen his muscles all but vanish.
He lost the capability of moving his arms, his legs.
Now, doctors are sparking the brain to retake control of the brawn.
I think we're going to keep going up on the voltage.
Join us as we explore the inner workings of our muscles, how they can turn against us, and what science is doing to get them back in line. Jason Dunn is a study in extraordinary adaptation.
My name's Jason, I am 31 and I have dystonia. Dystonia feels like when you tell your body to do something, but it does something else.
There are about 640 muscles that move the human body. Jason estimates that up to 500 of his muscles stay continually flexed, twisting his body into unusual positions.
Want to say hi to Jason? Aww.
And gripping the muscles that control his vocal cords.
Okay, you be good. Is that okay?
Dystonia feels like the most annoying thing that you can imagine.
Though Jason's muscles don't behave, they are ordinary in structure and function. Like typical muscles, they're made of bundles of muscle fiber. Each fiber gets command signals from the brain through wire-like nerve cells. When a command arrives to take a step, each targeted nerve cell releases chemicals onto muscle fibers, causing them to contract. And when bundles of fibers contract at the same time, the whole muscle contracts, producing the miracle of body movement. The more signals sent from the brain, the more the muscle contracts, and the bigger the movement. But for reasons science doesn't understand, Jason's brain is constantly sending faulty commands to his muscles. As a result, they contract outside his control.
Welcome everybody, welcome to Chicago.
Very little is known about what causes dystonia or how to treat it.
I'm sure that many of you have questions on how it works.
To learn more about his mysterious condition, Jason attends a dystonia conference. Here he can trade information with other dystonia patients and talk to some of the leading experts on the condition.
Hello, Jason. Hi, my friend. I heard a lot of you.
Because Jason can barely speak, he communicates with a speech synthesizer. For each comment he makes, the process can take a minute or more.
No, but now I'm seeing Dr. Vitek at Cleveland Clinic.
Oh, great. So you're seeing Jerry. Jerry's phenomenal. He's a really great guy. First of all, he's a great person. And he's obviously one of the major experts.
Although dystonia strangles Jason's speech, he's not affected intellectually.
Jason is a typical patient with dystonia because you immediately have the impression of a human being trapped in his body.
Nice meeting you.
But with a very crisp mind. He's clearly very smart.
Ready?
I don't like it.
I know. I deleted it. You want to do it again? Everyone here makes me feel bad because I'm not that bad. I'm not as fabulous as Jason. I'm gorgeous, though. It makes up for it, right?
Makes two of us.
There are many kinds of dystonia. Some people get it after a head trauma. Other times it results from drug poisoning or infections. It can also be a disorder all its own, called primary dystonia. According to Jason's neurologist, he probably has this type of dystonia.
There's no other known cause for his dystonia that we can tell, so I believe he's a primary dystonia.
You ready?
In a number of ways, his dystonia fits the pattern of one type sparked by a genetic mutation called DIT1.
And in DIT1, those patients oftentimes develop dystonia early in life, and it progresses. So oftentimes may start in one body part, like the leg or perhaps even the arm, and then it spreads to other body parts.
DIT1 dystonia results from a genetic defect inherited from a parent. A section of the DIT1 gene is missing. The gene's role is to make a protein found in brain cells, but the mutation causes the protein to be defective. Exactly how this glitch produces dystonia is not yet understood. What scientists do understand is that a person needs to get the defective gene from just one parent to develop DIT1 dystonia. But there's a puzzling twist.
About 70% of the individuals that have the genetic defect don't develop virtually any problem.
Which means that there must be other factors that cause DIT1 dystonia.
There's t-shirts. You want to grab them? We need to wear them for the field trip tomorrow so they can identify us at the aquarium.
Jason has not yet been tested to see if he has the culprit gene. His doctors have their doubts, since his condition is more extreme than typical DIT1 dystonia.
We don't know what caused my dystonia.
Yo, Jason Dunn, what's up, my brother? Good to see you, brother. What's going on? Yo, this size is good. Look at that.
What is known about dystonia is that it usually affects just one kind of muscle, and Jason, like ordinary humans, has three kinds. Cardiac muscle in the walls of the heart is what makes his heart beat. The second kind of muscle, smooth muscle, lines the walls of other internal organs, like the small intestine. It often works to move food or fluids through the body. Like cardiac muscle, it can't be consciously controlled. Skeletal muscles, the third muscle type, can be activated intentionally. Their job is to move and support our skeleton.
Your arms, your legs, your back, hold your posture, your neck. But in dystonia, the primary muscles that are involved are the skeletal muscles.
To flex his arm, Jason's bicep muscle is supposed to contract while his tricep muscle relaxes. To straighten his arm, his tricep should contract while his bicep relaxes. Skeletal muscles work together in opposing pairs like this to produce movements in opposite directions. It takes about 200 of them just to take one walking step.
You have to have a concert. So every muscle plays a role. It's like each one's an instrument. It's got to play together, and it's got to relax or be quiet at one point in time, and it's got to be active at another point in time.
But in Jason, opposing muscles contract at the same time, contorting his skeleton. Having muscles that almost constantly contract is one reason why Jason looks so muscular. But the reason for the contractions is found in his brain.
In the dystonia, it's the central command that's the problem, not the muscle itself. And the muscles only do what they're told to do. So if you have a bad signal coming in and it's telling your muscles to contract, they're going to contract.
Many scientists think these flawed muscle commands get corrupted in the basal ganglia, a group of brain structures that plays a critical role in fine-tuning muscle movements.
If you look in the basal ganglia, and we do this sometimes in patients, we record with microelectrodes and record the activity of single brain cells in the basal ganglia. And that activity is very chaotic.
Instead of producing the typical pattern of impulses, brain cells in Jason's basal ganglia fire erratically. It's believed that somehow this irregular activity generates faulty commands, telling his muscles to contract when they should be relaxing. Which muscles dystonia affects varies greatly from one person to the next. In Jason's case, it impacts muscles all over his body.
Clearly, Jason has a very disabling form of dystonia. He's unable to even maintain a sitting position. He has to lie down on the floor.
Like most cases of dystonia, Jason's is not life-threatening, and it will not get any worse. But it does make his daily life a staggering challenge.
Dystonia has affected my life in so many ways. Pretty much everything I do.
But back home in Warren, Michigan, where he's been living on his own for a year, he muscles through his day with superhuman determination.
I don't know how he has patience to do just the littlest thing as brushing his teeth or putting on a pair of socks.
"31-year-old Jason Dunn is determined not to let his twisted muscles hold him back. Jason has been living on his own for a year.
Oh, the eggs.
He's temporarily staying with his friend Mike and Mike's daughter Dana, while a house specially designed for his condition is being built.
I manage to do most things by myself. It looks worse than it actually is. It just takes me a little longer.
I don't know how he does it.
How'd you sleep, man? Did you sleep good? What are you doing, ordering breakfast? He will ask for help when he needs it. And if he doesn't need it, he'll tell you.
There you go.
And that is his main goal in life, is to be as independent as possible.
When I see Jason maybe trying to pick up his plate or pick up his food or something, I always want to go grab it and help him get it, but I know that he doesn't want that. Want your juice by ya? You got it? Okay. He wants to do everything on his own, doesn't want to use wheelchairs.
Jason's dystonia even affects muscles he uses to chew and swallow, which makes eating and drinking a chore. Life wasn't always like this for Jason. During early childhood, he showed no symptoms of dystonia. They started to appear when Jason was in first grade.
The doctors, there were many there because it was such a rare thing at the time. It seemed like nobody had the answer. I was 6 when was diagnosed. I just thought that the dystonia would go away.
It didn't. In fact, it quickly got worse. Within months, his physique had dramatically changed. Jason's contracting muscles twisted his neck to the left and pulled his arms and hands into unusual positions. Over the years, the muscular pressure on his spine has bent it into a zigzag. Unless an effective treatment is found, he'll never be able to stand or walk straight. The muscles that control his voice box have also locked up, which is one of the reasons why Jason's barely able to speak. For him to talk, muscles in his throat have to pull together his vocal cords. Then, when air from his lungs rushes between these folds, they would vibrate to create sound.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The throat muscle should stretch the folds to make higher pitched sounds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And relax the folds to produce deeper tones.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
In Jason, the constant contraction of these muscles has made the precision control needed for speech impossible.
4 years ago, my dystonia moved to my jaw.
When the muscles in his jaw also started to contract, his speech became even more restricted. Jason's options for treating his dystonia are limited.
All the treatment that we have calm the muscles, they control the symptoms, but they don't cure the disease.
To ease his muscles' involuntary contractions, Jason takes muscle relaxants. Just like in ordinary humans, the electrical signals Jason's brain sends to his muscles travel down transmission lines made of nerve cells. As an impulse reaches the end of a nerve cell, the cell releases a neurotransmitter. This chemical either triggers another nerve impulse in the next nerve cell down the line or blocks it. Jason's medication boosts the activity of the chemical that blocks nerve impulses, slowing down those uncontrolled movements. The result? Jason's muscles get fewer of the flawed instructions to tighten up.
Between 8 to 11 I had to be carried around. It was twice as bad as you see now. I couldn't move from off the floor.
Come on in.
Hey, hello?
Come in. Ready?
Hey, you ready to go to the gym, Jason?
All right. Have a good workout, man. I'll talk to you later.
Another way Jason copes with dystonia is by lifting weights. Though he only weighs 135 pounds, he can leg press 200 pounds 30 times. But Jason doesn't lift weights to build muscle.
Hey, go work out. I'll make you a shake when you're done.
Jason goes to the gym to tire his muscles out, which helps relieve the constant contractions. And now he's pinning his hopes on a new treatment. One that implants electrodes in his brain to tame the flawed signals his muscles receive. Every waking hour, Jason Dunn's muscles are in revolt. But not when he sleeps.
When I sleep, my body totally relaxes like everyone else's. When I wake up, it takes a few minutes to wake up the dystonia too. So I feel good when I first wake up.
Doctors don't know why Jason's disorder disappears during sleep, and they've had only limited success treating his dystonia with drugs. But he's now turned to a leading-edge procedure involving brain surgery.
Since I have been coming to Cleveland Clinic, I have noticed a little difference.
Jason, hey. How are you, dear?
There's a couple of different brain surgeries for dystonia. In the past, the preferred approach was a technique known as lesioning. It involves burning a small hole or lesion to destroy an area of brain cells in the basal ganglia, the part of the brain where dystonia is thought to originate. This reduces brain activity there, which may or may not help relieve the symptoms of dystonia.
What people used to do was what I call poke and hope. Poke a hole, make the lesion, and then hope it was the right location.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Not much farther. I'm gonna go right in here.
This technique sometimes caused permanent damage without improving a patient's dystonia. Luckily, Jason has another option.
I'm going to take a look at your DBS here and see what it's doing first.
Doctors have begun treating dystonia with a new type of brain surgery, far less risky than lesioning. It's called deep brain stimulation, or DBS. Surgeons embed electrodes or leads in areas of the basal ganglia with abnormal nerve cell activity. The leads pump steady pulses of electricity there.
Cells work through electricity. You can change the activity of cells by changing current. So by passing current in that area, we're able to change neural activity. Bottom line.
It's thought the pulses stabilize the nerve cell activity, or at least make it more normal, kind of like a pacemaker for the brain.
You might feel a shock or a tingle down the left arm or the left leg.
Deep brain stimulation in these patients can improve them dramatically.
That's a good sign about the position of this electrode.
To the point in some patients you'd have to look hard to see if they have dystonia.
The leads are hooked up to wires that thread from the skull, behind the ear and down the neck, to a battery-powered pulse generator implanted below the collarbone.
Hey, buddy.
A different surgeon inserted Jason's DBS unit several years ago. But Jason is now relying on Dr. Gerald Vitek, a leading expert in the field, to find the best settings for the pulses.
I see Dr. Vitek about once a month. He is trying to find the right settings for my DBS since I've seen him.
If you notice any change in the right arm?
I feel about 5% to 10% better, Doc. It's not a lot, but it's something.
Jason has improved a lot less than I would expect. 5 to 10% is not at all what we're looking for. We're looking to see him come up more to 50% or better. He's still got a lot of involuntary movements here and on the other side, the leg and the arm and the neck, that we'd like to be able to get control of that.
For unknown reasons, the effects of DBS on dystonia are not seen for days, weeks, or months.
Neck and right foot.
This could be why Jason hasn't shown much improvement, or it might be the settings themselves.
Jason, do this for me. Can you open and close hand at all? Okay. Can you bend your arm back and forth? Okay, can you go up like this?
The process of adjusting DBS is a bit like searching for stations on a car radio. Some frequencies give you nothing.
Did you feel anything when I did that?
Other frequencies give you a fuzzy signal.
Okay.
Still others bring in a clear signal, although sometimes with DBS, there just is no clear signal.
All right, so it looked like there might be a problem, so I have to do the check at a higher voltage.
We've been exploring different parameters of stimulation for Jason over the last year or so. We're going to drop the pulse width a little bit.
Okay, and then keep going up
on the voltage. Yeah, because we have 2 contacts on there. So we're going to gradually increase the voltage on both. We have tried a number of combinations. I think we've found a set now that we think might work, and we're gradually increasing the voltage in him to see if that will give him the benefit we need.
If the pulse settings are wrong, boosting the voltage can stimulate the wrong nerve structures, producing side effects. Jason's optic nerve might be activated, causing him to see flashes, or an area of the brain called the internal capsule could be stimulated, causing muscles to start contracting.
We'll just walk out and walk back, Jason.
Jason has felt these negative side effects with previous settings, but they vanished after adjustments.
Just walk about 5 feet, Jason.
What the doctor is more concerned about now is the position of the leads.
Okay, buddy, let's go back in. And I don't know where the lead locations are exactly with him, and having not put them in, I'm not too sure if we've got exactly the right location. I think we're going to keep going up on the voltage with these settings until we get continual benefit, but if we don't think we can get high enough because we're getting side effects, we may have to think about repositioning the lead.
Moving the leads will mean another brain surgery.
Oh boy, huh? Can't wait, right? You know, man, we don't give up, right? We're in it with you for the long haul. All right. Cool. All right, cool, you got it.
One last look at your place.
In the meantime, Jason is going on with his life. His house will be demolished next week, and work will start on a new home more adapted to his dystonia.
Jay, here you go. We've been able to raise almost $100,000 between people donating material and skilled labor and cash donations. Over here, you're going to have the walk-in shower, and you won't have to try to climb over that tub in there. You'll be able to walk right in, and maybe they'll put a bench seat in there for you.
I couldn't wait to get started.
We just can't wait for it to get finished.
But Jason's dreams don't end there.
Did you get a chance to see the Lions? They lost yesterday. Oh, they won? Jason believes 100% that he's going to be cured.
My biggest concern about dystonia is if they find a cure when I'm 80. Thanks a lot.
You know, the thought of Jason walking and talking like you or I just gives me goosebumps. And I think it will happen one day. I just hope he's around for it to happen.
Oh, we're not so funny anymore, are we?
My plans for the future don't involve dystonia, just its battle scars. I just want a normal life.
Jason's dream just might come true. But science is still at a loss when it comes to treating another amazing muscular disorder. this one causes muscles to vanish, turning some people into what looks like life-size dolls.
I need an EMT. Get a possible evac right away. Cheers!
Today is Ami Ankileweitz's 41st birthday.
Hi.
For at least 41 more.
Though his body appears lifeless, Ami is very much alive, and his spirit is infectious.
You're getting close to 50.
41, 9 years late.
You know, the first time I saw. He doesn't see himself as a disabled person, and nobody in this group of friends treat him like he has any kind of disability.
On the motorcycle?
Even I took him on the motorcycle, I took him on the boat, I took him on the horse, whatever he can, he want to try.
Hi, Mommy!
Ami Ankileweitz has a genetic disorder known as Spinal Muscular Atrophy Type 2, or SMA2.
So, Ami, the next 41 years, what are your plans?
The incurable condition starts in infancy and causes a progressive loss of muscle tissue. It affects 1 in every 6,000 to 10,000 infants. SMA2 doesn't affect the muscles directly. It's actually a disorder of the nerves that trigger muscle movement. These nerves are made up of specialized nerve cells. The nerve cells originate inside the spinal cord or brainstem. They each have a long wire-like tail called an axon that can stretch up to 3 feet long. This axon carries electrical signals to the various muscle cells in our body, making them contract. Ami's condition causes these nerve cells to die. As a result, his muscles no longer receive his brain's commands to move, so they don't contract. And muscles that never contract atrophy. That is, they wither away. We all get muscular atrophy when we are physically inactive. Long exposure to weightlessness, like on space flights, also causes it. In zero gravity, our muscles don't have to work to support us. That causes them to dwindle. Muscle atrophy from lack of use can be reversed through exercise. Unfortunately, since the nerve cells that activate most of Ami's muscles are dying, his atrophy is permanent and extreme. Even the muscles he uses to speak are disappearing.
He can't move his jaws. He almost cannot move or close or open his mouth or his lips. Therefore, his speech is very slurred and very difficult to understand at this stage.
And while in the average adult male, muscle makes up 42% of body weight, Ami's muscle tissue is almost completely gone. That's why he weighs an astonishing 39 pounds. With no strength in his arms, legs, neck, and torso, his body is limp. In public, he actually gets mistaken for a life-size doll.
Ami has no control of any voluntary muscle whatsoever, except for little facial muscles that he uses for his very poor speech, and a very little left function of muscles for swallowing.
But typical of those with spinal muscular atrophy, Ami has full control of his mind.
His brain is fine and his understanding is excellent, and he's a sensitive guy.
Ami is all the time just thinking forward. What we're gonna do next, how we're gonna figure this problem, and it's not good for me like this, we need to do it better like this, and all the time just thinking forward.
It's likely this incredible zest for life has kept him going for so long, despite a dire prognosis.
You look good at me, huh? I like the way you cut your hair. Who cut it for you?
Yeah, I noticed at the same time, was down only not survive old age of 6.
SMA2 weakens the muscles needed for breathing, eventually making it impossible to take in enough oxygen. Respiratory infection is one of the leading causes of death in Ami's type of SMA. The more severe the condition, the earlier it happens.
I'm sitting on the light part.
We can see very, very rarely a case like Ami that continues to be able to survive to the age that he reached today.
SMA2 impacts the skeletal muscles, which are mainly used to move our body. The muscles in the heart and other internal organs are unaffected because they're activated by a different kind of nerve cell than the type that stimulates skeletal muscles. So inside Ami's motionless body, his heart beats strong, his digestive system churns away, and his other internal organs do their jobs. And he's able to survive, even though he's virtually incapable of movement. While his physique today is highly unusual, Ami's mother, Elena, says he was a typical baby.
Ami, he was normal. Normal, he can move the hands, the head, and everything.
But after about 6 months, Elena began to notice that something was wrong.
When I put Ami in the crib to sit him, he's falling down.
At the age of 1, Ami received his diagnosis. His extraordinary condition stems from a mutation in one of his genes. Normally, this gene carries the blueprint for creating a protein that nourishes the nerves that trigger skeletal muscles. But because of the mutation, the gene couldn't produce the critical protein. This caused the nerves to start dying shortly after he was born. But Elena wasn't about to give up on Ami.
When I take Ami to the doctor and he told me Ami's not going to live till 6, I say, no, you are not the God to tell the mother her son is not going to live. And Ami is going to live, and I told you, Ami is going to live.
Ami did live, but by the time he was 20, he'd lost almost all voluntary movement. Still, he had beaten the doctor's prediction.
The combination of his tremendous desire to live and the extraordinary care that he has received from his mother, he has made it up to this date.
Driven by his passion for living, Ami has managed to travel the world from the US to Romania. And now this man without the muscle to even move a finger is planning his riskiest adventure yet.
Why Thailand?
Culture.
Culture? Okay. Well, he constantly asks for my approval to take a trip to Thailand on a wheelchair, lying down in a fetal position, okay?
She's coming.
Yeah.
You want me just to tell her to send her something? She said that she want to be here in 3.5.
Although Ami Ankileweitz has all his wits about him, he's imprisoned inside a body that he cannot move. This hasn't stopped him from living on his own in a house outside of Tel Aviv, Israel.
Ami has decided several years back that he wants to move out from his mother's house and live independently. He did it, like he's done so many other things in his life, in spite of the opinion of the entire world around him.
Every other person was independent.
Even with his spirit of steel, Ami needs lots of help from friends, family, and his caretaker.
I never choose the easy way. I usually choose the hard way. Because that's how I am.
I mean, you told everyone to come in 6, right?
Oh, yeah.
In recent years, Ami has lost the muscle power required to swallow.
You need to eat and take this food.
He needs muscles to force his tongue against the roof of his mouth or palate, pushing food toward his throat. He needs other muscles to lift up the back part of the palate to close off his nasal cavity. Throat muscles are required to close his voice box so food stays out of his airway, and to open his esophagus, the tube to the stomach. Then he needs muscles lining his esophagus to make contractions that push his food downward. But most of these muscles have wasted away. If Ami were to swallow almost any kind of food, he would choke.
He was losing weight because he cannot swallow, except very small quantities of thin liquids.
So doctors inserted a feeding tube into his stomach.
Basically 99% of his food and liquid intake, okay, is through that tube directly to the stomach.
Like many people with SMA, as Ami's muscles disappeared, his spine has bowed. In order for it to be a sturdy pillar holding his body upright, he needs skeletal muscles in the back, sides, buttocks, and abdomen. These normally provide a support for the spine, but his withered away. And the resulting pressure on his spine made it bend. So much that his ribs started pushing against his heart and lungs.
And then we decided that he has to go through surgery of the spine to get his column stabilized so he doesn't bend further and further.
Surgeons put metal rods in Ami's spine and straightened it, but his gradual loss of skeletal muscles continued. For unknown reasons, with his type of muscular atrophy, muscles closer to the trunk usually dwindle sooner than those farther away. The legs are affected before the arms, and often the last muscles impacted are those that move the face, the eyes, and the fingers. By the time Ami was an adult, the only body part below the neck he could move was one finger on his left hand. But the man who wasn't supposed to live past age 6 was not about to give up his dreams. At age 30, he learned to create computer animation with just his one working finger.
Once he decides he wants to do something, he goes ahead and does it, okay? He has a desire and a passion to live that drives him and has kept him alive up to today.
For 10 years, Ami pursued a successful career as an animator. But the relentless muscle loss eventually made it impossible to work.
Ami lost very slowly but steadily the capacity to use the one or two fingers that he was using previously. And so he hasn't been able to use the computer for the last year.
But Ami hopes to keep eluding his body's prison by taking off in pursuit of his other passions, like traveling. So far, he's taken trips to 6 countries with his closest friends.
When the enemy comes, Ami always has a travel adventure on his mind.
In his 30s, Ami made an epic road trip across the United States in an RV.
They call it a hammer.
It took a lot of energy from everybody, but we did it because Ami made us to do it.
But the journey only underscored how fragile his body is. At one point, he suffered serious breathing problems.
I need an EMT and a possible evac right away.
To properly inhale, his lungs need the diaphragm muscle to contract and flatten. At the same time, muscles between the ribs should also contract, raising the ribs upward and outward. These two actions enlarge the chest cavity, making the lungs expand and suck in air. But Ami has all but lost his rib cage muscles, and he now breathes with only his diaphragm. The fallout is that his lungs don't fully inflate.
Little by little, he lost the capability to breathe normally, to use the muscles to help him to take deep breaths, for instance. He's not capable of.
Despite the physical challenges of travel, Ami has his heart set on an even more daring trip.
Challenge is I don't dreamland since I was 18 years old.
So what the plan? How we gonna do it all? I mean, just take a flight to Thailand like regular. Ami is not standing still. All the time, ideas and all the time forward. Ami is a shark.
This is one of those things you say, die for.
To die for?
The first chance I have,
Ami's mother and some of his friends think the idea is reckless.
The flight is, I think, 12 hours or so from Israel. And in his condition, it's like a huge task. But I assume that if Ami insists, he will find a way to do it.
Ami, hi.
But Ami's physician may not approve, and his mother insists on getting the doctor's opinion before she lets her son take off once again.
Don't. But every day talk about Thailand. Every day.
Ami Ankileweitz is fixated on going to Thailand.
Every time when I come to see him, I see that he able to do less and less things.
A big fear is that a Thailand trip might lead to a lung infection. Since his ribcage muscles have withered away, he only breathes with his diaphragm. As a result, the air doesn't move in and out of his lungs with as much force as it should. This means that when he gets a cold, his airways clog up, which can breed severe lung infections.
When he has a virus, it's very dangerous for him because he can go to pneumonia immediately.
Spinal muscular atrophy has also caused Ami to lose muscles needed for coughing, and coughing is one of the things that protects him against lung infections. When his cough receptors detect mucus from a cold, they should spark the muscular reaction we call a cough. The diaphragm and outer rib cage muscles instantly contract, making the lungs balloon. Meanwhile, throat muscles close the voice box, so no air escapes. Next, the diaphragm and outer rib cage muscles relax while the inner rib cage muscles contract. This boosts air pressure in the lungs. Then, the throat muscles relax, letting the voice box spring open, and air is pushed out at over 600 miles an hour, clearing the airways. Since Ami has lost most of these muscles, he cannot cough to scrub his airways of mucus secretions.
If he cannot handle his secretions because of the lack of cough capability, he is prone to respiratory infections in the lungs.
Ami's mother has insisted that he see his doctor today.
Hello. Shalom. ¿No le va a querer a Rofenberger?
She wants to know the state of his breathing muscles and get an opinion on whether or not he should travel to Thailand.
Ami, hi, how are you? Come in. Welcome.
Ami wants to go to Thailand. What do you think about it, this trip?
We've been through this discussion before, Ami.
Every day talk about Thailand. Every day. He likes so much to go over there. I think so for myself. It's very dangerous for him to go over there.
Why Thailand?
Culture.
Culture? Okay. Again, medical insurance you can't get. Okay. It's a risk that you take. In Thailand, if you start going into out in the wilderness, let's call it that way, okay, and not in the big city, you might turn out to have some problem and you won't have any help. Any little infection can develop into a life-threatening problem. If you want to take the risk, all right, this is something that you have to decide.
I don't know, doctor. I don't know.
Get your shirt up, at least up.
Ami is not yet ready to give up on Thailand. The trip could present life-threatening risks. But the adventure of travel has helped sustain Ami to the age of 41, when he wasn't supposed to make it past 6.
All in all, you're okay, Ami, okay? You're capable of exchanging air and oxygenating your body enough. Good? No. Okay? Basic, okay? We'll be in touch, Ami.
All right, thank you.
Feel well.
All right.
Keep it up.
All right.
You're doing nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
His tremendous passion to live dictates most of the things that he has done until now and probably will continue doing as long as he can.
But there is still no cure for Ami's disorder, and one may not be found before he loses the power to breathe on his own. Then again, Ami has surprised the doctors before.
Every doctor that sees him, they don't have explanation. In my opinion, what keeps him, it's not his physical body, it's mental abilities.
Not being able to control our muscles may seem like a terrifying scenario, but Ami Ankileweitz and Jason Dunn show how fully life can be lived inside an extremely uncooperative body. They are intriguing puzzles of human design and extraordinary wonders of rare anatomy.